Now let's start with our sixth unit, that is the introduction to client-side Java Server Frameworks Basic of Angular 4.0. Now in that the first point is that introduction to Angular 4.0's where the Angular JavaScript framework is used. AngularJS is an open source JavaScript framework used to build the rich and extensible web applications. This AngularJS language is developed by the Googles and follow the MVC controllers. That MVC stands for Model View Controller Patterns. It also supports HTML as a template language and enables the developer to create extended HTML tags which will help to represent the application content more clearly. It is easy to update and receive the information from an HTML documents. The AngularJS is also useful for the updating and receiving the information from an HTML document. It will be helpful for the CSS as well, not only for the HTML document purpose. You can receive the various informations from the web applications. You can update and display that information on the web applications. It also helps in writing a proper maintainable architecture which can be tested at a client sites. Now next that is the advantages, disadvantages and applications of Angular JS. What are the features, which are the drawbacks which is available for the Angular 4.0 and where actually the Angular 4.0 is used currently in the market as well. Now the first advantages for the AngularJS is that some AngularJS advantages is the thing with the features. We can also call it as a characteristics of the AngularJS. The very first character for the AngularJS is that the MVC framework, model view controllers. In AngularJS, you just have to split your application's code into the model view controller components. That is the model we can first build, then we can view that models and we can control, user can control for that models. And the next features is the validations. It performs at the client side forms validations. The validation which we can users or client can validate the web application. Then models, we define models, so we can define modules, we can define the application for that. Next is the directories. It specify the behavior of on the DOM elements. Templates, it renders the dynamic views. Now scope of the Angular joins the controllers with the views expressions. It binds the application data to HTML files. And data binding, it creates the one-way or two-way data bindings between the selected components and the $control dot proper order proper modules. Then filters we can also call it as in templates. It stores and share the data across the applications. Then routines, it is built in a single web applications. Now next is the dependency injection. Is specify a design pattern in which components are given their dependency instead of hard coding them within that component. Now testing, it is very easy to test any of the AngularJS component through unit testings and end-to-end testing. So we can also test the components or applications which is built based on the AngularJS. There are various test cases are available for testing any applications, as like unit testings, strength testings, stress testings, load testing, etc. These are the testing methods. Through that testing methods, the one method which is very useful, that is the unit testing for the AngularJS. That is the features or advantages for the AngularJS. Now next we are focusing for the disadvantages of the AngularJS or drawbacks. There are some drawbacks of AngularJS which are given in that slides. The first disadvantages or drawback is that AngularJS is a JavaScript dependent. It is totally dependent on the JavaScripts. So for and CSS is very useful for that, for dependent on the scripts. If end user disable the JavaScripts, AngularJS will not be works. If any end users is not going to work, if it is not works, then AngularJS will not be works. So for to work the AngularJS, end user should be disabled. Now it is not secure. Now AngularJS is not secure. We are not provided any security for the AngularJS. Any user can use it. It is a JavaScript based framework, so it is not safe to authenticate the user through AngularJS only. Now next disadvantage, time consuming in older devices. Okay, the browsers and older computers and mobiles are not capable or taken a little more time to render the pages of applications and website design using the framework. It happens because the browser performs some supplementary tasks like document object models manipulation. That is also drawbacks for that. The oldest version, that is the mobiles and older versions of the computers, browsers, it doesn't works. Now difficult to learn. If you are new in AngularJS, then it will not be easy for you to deal with the complex entities such as a quite layers, hierarchies and scopes. Debugging the scope is believed a tough task for the many programmers. Now next we are going to the where the AngularJS is used. It is with the help of these technologies we are developing the web applications. To learn the AngularJS, we should know, the student should know all these languages, then only you can go for the AngularJS. And first is HTML, second is the CSS, as we already studied in first and second chapters. Then JavaScript is also studied, SQL, that is the structured query languages, the PHP, that is that is we also learned. We are going to learn in the 8th unit PHP, Pythons, Bootstraps and Java. These are the these are the languages for the Angular JS. To learn these languages, we should know all these languages. Now next is the setup and configuration for the Angular JS. How to install the Angular JS in your systems or any machines. The first you can go for these links, that is https angularjs.org. With these links, once you open these links, you will get all, you will visible all this kind of stuffs. Okay, that is the download the AngularJS once and try the new Angular 2, that is for the AngularJS versions once. Okay, you can you can download it for the AngularJS version 4. Now that is view on GitHub and design doc and notes. If you want to learn in depth, you can also download the documents and notes with this link as well. Okay, now there are two modules for the AngularJS. The first is a view on GitHub and second download the AngularJS 1. By clicking, when you click on button that is view on GitHub, by clicking on these buttons you are diverted to GitHubs and get all the latest, and you will get all the latest scripts. Now second is the download the Angular JS once. By clicking on these buttons, a screen, you get to see a dialog box which is shown in the previous slides. Okay, next is the download. Once you download the Angular JS, you will get all this kind of you will get this kind of windows. Now branch, build, CDN, browsers, npm and extras, etc. You can go here, you can directly download, click on download button and download the Angular JS. Now this screen gives the previous slides, that screen gives the options of using AngularJS as follows: downloading and hosting the files locally. If users are downloading that files on local machine, there are two different options. First is a legacy and a legacy. and second is the latest. These names themselves are self-descriptives. The legacy has versions less than 1.2.x, and the latest come with version 1.3.3.x. You can also go with the minimized and uncompressed and zipped versions. Now that is CDN access, you also have access to a CDN. CDN gives access to original data centers. In this case, the Google hosts the CD and transfer the responsibility of hosting files from your own servers to a series of external ones. It also offers an advantage that if the visitors of your web page has already downloaded the copy of AngularJS from the same CDNs, there is no need to download it. Okay, that is already inbuilt. Now next point is the components and modules for the Angular JS. Modules. First, we are going to learn the components in Angular JS. A component is a special kind of directives that use a simple configuration which is suitable for the component-based application structure. So that application should be suitable for that component-based application structure. This makes it easy to write an app in a way that's similar to using the web app component or using the new Angular style of the web application structures. Now advantages for the component is simple configuration that plans directories, promotes and default and base practices, optimize for component based architectures. Writing the component directories will make it easy to upgrade the Angulars. Fail not to use these components for directories that need to perform actions in compiles and pre-link the function because they are not available. When you need advanced directories definition options like priorities, terminals and multi elements. When you want a directory that is triggered by an attributes or CSS class rather than an element, creating and configuring a scene. Now, how to create and configure the component? Component can be registered using the .component methods of an Angular JS modules written by the Angular modules. The method takes two arguments. The first argument name of the component as a strings. The component config object. Note that unlike the directories method, this method does not take a factory functions. Edit in plugins. Index.js heroes detail.js index .html hero details.html angular modules hero apps, then angular bracket dot controller main controllers comma function. This is the two function for the component. This dot heroes equal to name spawn. Okay, in this way you can create and configure the Angular JS. Now next is a modules. Now basic features of the maintainable application is the structures of the codes. AngularJS allows the user to divide the front-end code of the applications and into small reusable components called modules. Okay, application which is divided into the components with the component that called it as an modules. So modules can be thought as an containers which can hold the different components of your application with one name common to all. Okay, once you divide the components into modules, for that modules we are giving the common name for that applications. Okay, the different modules in the Angular JS applications are first is controllers, directories, filters and services. The key is Angular modules. It's the gateway into modules API. It has all the mechanism to configure Angular JS. It is used to register, create and get all the Angular JS modules together. Okay, so controller, directories, filters and services, these are all four modules you can use for the registrations. You can create the create and get all the AngularJS modules together. Modules is a container for the different part of an applications like controller, services, filters, and directories. It is treated as a main method. All the dependencies of applications are generally defined in module only. A module is created using an Angular object module method. For examples, the method is given variable at is equal to angular dot middles in bracket my app comma and curly brackets. Okay, AngularJS using the module comprise the topmost component of an AngularJS application. You can even create an application without making the use of modules at all, but that would be an very badly built applications and difficult to maintain and upgrade. AngularJS needs to know about the different component of an AngularJS applications and how they are attached together. Hence, an application is divided into reusable components and the dependencies are specified. The following are three important use of AngularJS modules in an AngularJS application. The first is to attach a particular AngularJS application within a specified region of an HTML document. It acts a gateway to AngularJS APIs and other features of the frameworks. It is also used to organize and bring together various components of the applications and work in coordinations. AngularJS modules defining the limits of an AngularJS application. The primary step for creating an AngularJS application is to define the modules and its boundaries within the HTML documents. To define a module, use the method called as angular.module, which I already explained in the previous slides. Any given modules can support three arguments as a below. However, there are generally only two are used, that is filters, directories, and services and controllers. There generally three are used. That is the components which I already explained in the previous slides. Okay, now next is the templates. Now